Welcome to Guadeloupe on the 5th of January 1795. We're here today to play the game of Admiral's Order, Naval Tactics in the Age of Sail, and we'll be recreating the battle between two frigates, the HMS Blanche for the British side and La Pique for the French side. The Blanche has been patrolling off this island here, La Desirade, and they're patrolling towards this way. And at Pointe Pietre we have the La Pique stationed, currently being refitted out here. La Pique is now sailing out the harbour on the 4th of January 1795, and the Blanche is chasing down the French frigate. They've been sailing for around a day now, and it's now 10 AM on the 5th of January in 1795. So we're now going to start recreating this battle. So I've been setting this battle up. The ships are in their starting positions down there. I wanted to start this video by just explaining this game will be played solo. This is my third ever playthrough of this particular game, and I wanted to film this particular playthrough just to show how easy or difficult it is to pick up the rules. Now, I've rated this as a complexity of 5.5 out of 10 for the basic rules. The reason I give it the extra half a point was because it is set on the sea. The movement can be quite challenging if you're not used to sea movement, because you've got a 360-degree movement for all these ships, and as you make the movements you will need to learn different particular moves like bear up, bear away, leeway, windward. So there's a lot of different terms to learn in this game, but it becomes second nature after a first few tries. Now, I also wanted to point out a few things here. Look, there's all these tokens here. We're playing the basic rules today. These are all for squadron rules. We don't need all these. I just wanted to show you as well the box, because when I did my unboxing there was a lot of content in there. But look, for the basic game you don't need all these cards. You don't need all them ships. You don't need these initiative markers. You don't need these masts. Fine. So we're starting to get down to the raw pieces that we need for the game, which is actually very simple. We've got two ships. We've got a deck of simple manoeuvre cards there. All the calculations are done using 4 die. We've got one ship status sheet with 2 ships marks on there. And we've got a few player aids, and we're also using 2 initiative bags. So, what's the first thing we need to do in this game? The first thing we need to do is draw initiative for these ships. So the one highest to the winds, they get a red initiative token, and the one furthest away from the winds, they'll get a yellow token. The highest number will go first, 20, simple. So yellow, this the Blanche now needs a yellow token of 20, 21 or higher. They get a 9, so La Pique is going to move first in this round. So first we need to work out the command value of these ships, and that dictates how many manoeuvre cards that ship is dealt. And the command value of the La Pique is currently 3.5. And then if you compare that with the chart down here, see a command value of, sorry, they got the so they got the captain value of 2 on there, so they've got a 5.5 command value for La Pique. So 5.5, you draw 3 cards. That chart just shows you that they get 3 cards. So La Pique is going to get 3 cards. They get windward, bear away and leeway, and windward again, more sails. So what can La Pique do with these cards? Well, they've got a movement allowance which they have to move up. So in this game you have to move your full movement allowance if you can. and the movement allowance for frigate is 7. So let's see what they can do here. So really looking to, if they can, they'd like to turn around to fire broadside back at the Blanche, but we'll see what can happen. So this is, you know, why the game starts getting a bit tricky, because you see on here you've got your ship pictured and you have to try and visualise where that ship is on the map relative to the wind. So that shows they can move the ship sideways towards the wind for 3 movement points. That's not going to help them, I don't think. They can add more sails to increase their movement points, which is not going to help them. Let's see what this bear away card can actually do. So, right, okay, so bear away can turn the ship out of the wind, which is probably what we want to be looking to do here, actually. I think they will want to do that, but if they turn out of the wind, they'll be pointing right up. So they'll be pointing towards the wind, and that would be no good because they can't move any further up there. So actually, there's not much they can do with this set of cards, I don't think. So it's rather an interesting start to the battle here. But what they're going to do is beat against the wind for 3 hexes. So it's 2 movement points per hex if you beat in. So they're going against the wind 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So at least they'll get the initiative for next time. And the advantage of a frigate is you can keep up to 3 cards if you've got 3 masts on your ship there. If they had 2 masts, I believe they can keep 2 cards in hand. That's their turn over. And now we're going to see what the Blanche gets, see if they can start doing some firing. Let's see. Will they get some better cards here? So they've got a chain shot, that could be useful. So if they fire within 5 hexes, they're going to get a +4 on their dice roll. And they've also got a bear away on that card as well. So you can play these cards and you pick one of the 2 options. A special manoeuvre, that's definitely going to help them. If we drop this, we'll be able to do any free move. So we can turn pretty much which way we want with that card. And the special manoeuvre can also be used to repair a ship. We don't have any damage at the minute. And another special move that's definitely going to help them. 2 special moves and a chain shot. They should be able to do something with this. But the trouble is, Pique has run off there a bit. So the question is, can they catch up? And the idea is to try and get as close to the stern as possible and try and do a rake fire at the back there. But I don't think they've got enough movement points this time. Nonetheless, I think they can get close and attempt to fire, so potentially they could keep their cards for next time, but let's just try and get some action underway. So going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay. They can't move any further, but they do have some cards here which they can move to turn the ship round. So trouble is, if they do, now this is tricky, so if they did turn that way, they'd be against the wind, which would then put them under drifting. So I think for this round he is actually going to save his cards. I think that's the best option there. Fine, that turns over. So we've only had some basic moving that time. Then at the end of each turn, on your ship status sheet here, you just have to mark that you've done a cleanup, say you've removed all the initiative markers and so forth. So let's do that now. Initiative markers back in the bag. And then we'll draw them again shortly. So let's put the cleanup done. Let's mark that off down there. I should be using a pencil, but I don't have a pencil and rubber at the minute, so I'm just using a pen currently. But if you buy these games, you can get the some spreadsheet type status sheets which are available on the forum for this game, so you can keep track via your computer if you like, which is what I've been doing the last game. I've also put a battle report up on the official forum for this game, so if you want to read that, you can go to the forum as well to read that. So they're all going to retain all their manoeuvre cards, new initiative draw, The new initiative is 18 for the Pique this time, and for the Blanche we have 17. Oh, that was close. So they nearly took the advantage there, but not quite. So each turn is half hour in this game, so the time is now 10:30, and you also have to mark at the beginning of each turn how many manoeuvre cards each ship should draw, which is based on their command value. So they've still got the same command value, so they get 3 each at this stage. Although potentially, if there's any hits, it could be less, but don't think so. So the Pique draws again, so the Pique gets a leeway and more sails. They get a chain shot, which is going to help them. Definitely the French get a bonus if they fire at rigging, whereas the British have a lot more firepower, so they roll more dice, and a special manoeuvre, which is going to help them. So there potentially is some shots they can, some moves that they could try with that special mover. So I'm just thinking they want to turn the ship out of the wind. Right, they can actually do a few. Yes, they can do something quite tricky here. So they could turn around and come back down there to fire, but they'd need to lose the initiative. So they could do a bear away, come down, then another bear away with that special manoeuvre, which is one option for them. Right. This is a point. If you turn into the wind, if you've got a card to get out of the wind, you can actually get out of that wind. So you can actually play to turn twice if you're going to end up facing the wind. Whereas usually you can only turn once in a hex. That's the exception in this game. So that would need 2 bear aways to get in the position that he wants, which he can do. So the Pique is going to use the bear away card and a special manoeuvre to do another bear away. So you can actually do up to 3 movements in this turn, because he's got 3 masts. So that counts as 1 movement in the hex. That's the second movement in the hex. So he's got 1 more movement allowed, but he can now go. He can. So he's going to be beaten against the winds now. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's his full movement points up, but he can fire at a range of 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, yeah, 4. A range of 4, which is good. And he can actually use a chain shot to fire there, because he's within a range of 0 to 5, so he can add +4 to the die roll by playing that card. He doesn't need to use up another movement. So ships can make up to 3 movements if they've got 3 masts. They can also fire, and they can also make a special manoeuvre if they're looking to repair the ship, for example. So how do we fire this? So we've got a range of 1, 2, 3, 4. So what we need to do is look up on this fire chart here. So we've got a distance of 4, which is up there. We also need to look at the ship condition. So the ship condition is shown on the status sheet, and the ship condition degrades over time. So each time it gets a hit, it starts out at 10 on this one. Every time you mark it off, it will go 9, 8, 7, 6, and so forth. So if we've got the ship condition of 10 there, and distance of 4, which means we've got a firepower of 4. So firepower is 4, which is fine. And then they need to dictate whether they're hitting the hull or the rigging. And the French get a bonus for firing at rigging, so they're going to opt to fire at rigging at this stage. If the French ship does fire at rigging, they get a +1 to the firepower, so that takes the firepower up to 5 there. And the French firing at rigging, they need to roll 2 die. So let's see what the result is. First cannon shots of the day is a low number. It's 3, but nonetheless, let's see what the result is. They also get a +4 for that chain shot card, which could come in handy. So got a 7 on the die roll there. So with a die roll of 7 and a firepower of 5 it was. It's still good. It's a RS result. So what that actually means is, on the Blanche sheet there, so you get a 1 hit to the ship condition, and they get 1 hit to the rigging condition up there as well. It's fine. So that is their turnover. They've got 3 cards, and they opt to retain those 3 cards for the next time because they've still got 3 masts. They can afford to do that. And now it's the Blanche's turn to see what they can do to deal some damage back. Let's see what they get. They get a windward backing sails, a special manoeuvre, which is going to help them. Definitely, they've got 3 special manoeuvres now, and another special manoeuvre. Crikey, so they've got 4 special manoeuvres down there now. They must be able to do something good with this now. Bearing in mind they're limited to 3 movements during the turn. So let's just consider what they can do here. So again, they're limited to 7 movement points. So they could have come up really close there. So they've got a chain shot to play. I think they are going to fire at a range of 1. Let's see this. Let's do this. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They can't move any more. It's getting very close now. They're within the firing range there, within the firing arc, and they're going to fire at a range of 1. They're going to attempt to the rigging again, because this chain shot gives them a bonus if they attack the rigging. So they're playing chain shot, but because they're firing, they also need to drop another card. And the card they're going to drop is the windward, because then that'll leave them with 4 special manoeuvres. So they're going to drop that card. That's out the game. That's just because they're firing there. So we've got a chain shot action going on up there. Now they're firing at the rigging, and because they're British, they get to fire 3 dice, which is nice for them. Just making sure there's no other bonuses there. Yeah, if there's raking, they'd get 4 dice, but they're not actually fortunate enough to be raking there because they're not firing directly at the stern of the ship. So this time we've got a ship condition. It's gone down 1. So the ship condition is 8 for the Blanche, and the distance is 1. The distance is 1, which gives them a firepower this time of 5. They've got 5 firepower. Let's just note that down so I don't forget it. So 5 firepower, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, plus 4 for the chain shot. So that's 15, 15 and 5, targeting the rigging, which is a result of, that's a good result. The die is 15, the firepower is 5, which gives a result of 3 rigging plus a special event. So in the second time we've got a special event, which I like the special events. So I was just trying to remember, yeah, 3 rigging. So nothing to the ship condition at all. Right, 3 rigging. So let's mark that on there. So the Pique has taken a hit of 3 to the rigging. If they get 2 more, they'll be demasted by 1, which will mean they'll draw 1 less card when they've lost the mast. But we've got this special event, this rare event to resolve. So it says it's caused by broadside. Roll 2 dice 6 and apply the results here. So you've got a chart showing all the rare events there. You could get bad luck, okay? Admiral killed. We could get them on fire. We could get a precise shot. Not focusing well. I'll read it out, the result. Right, okay. 10. Now I've seen this before. 10 is Admiral killed. But the Admiral has to roll 2 dice now. And if they get the if they get 9 or more, he dies. But we have to roll the 2 dice and add the actual command value of the commander of the Pique. So let's see. So that's 5. Then we have to add the command value, which is 2. So that's 7. So this time the Admiral is he just survives. He doesn't die. He doesn't die, so I think he's got away with that one. So there's a bit of shrapnel that probably hit him there. But he survived. In my first 2 games, the Admiral got killed very early on, and it nearly happened again today. So they could have been in a lot of trouble early on there. So that chain shot's been played. He can't move anymore today. He's moved his movement allowance up for this particular half hour in the battle. We're going to discard that card now. In terms of what he can retain, he can only retain 3 of his 4 cards that he's got down here. So he's got 4 cards down there. Some special money with his backing sails, more sails. Bear away. Would 2 bear aways really be good? No, get rid of that one. Give him more options later on. Fine. So we see some fire action going on already. And now let's do the cleanup phase. So we'll take away the initiative markers, put them back in the bag for the next turn. And we'll just mark on the status sheet to show that we've done the cleanup for this turn. Cleanup would also involve things like if your ship's on fire, roll in to see if that fire spreads and so forth. But there's no more special events for that cleanup phase this time. Right, this time the Pique still gets the first chance at the initiative. So we get a 23. That's going to be hard to beat. I don't think that's even possible to beat with the yellow one. So it's almost academic. But it's 7. So yeah. So yet again, the Pique goes first, and they get chain shots. Very useful at that distance. Very useful indeed for them. Could they target the rigging there? Let's see. A special manoeuvre as well, and backing sails. And windward and backing sails. Right. The first thing the French are going to do here, they are going to fire back. But actually, could they get near the stern here? I think they can actually. I think they can get near the stern. They could do this, you know. So let's see. That'd be a much more powerful shot for them if they could get the stern and do a rake with that chain shot. I've got quite a lot of cards here. A selection of 6 cards. Just trying to see. We've got a bear up, but they need 2 bear aways. So we've got 1 special manoeuvre. That is unfortunate for them. They've got so many cards, but they've got only 1 bear away. Because I think what would happen is he'd bear away, go down 1, bear away again, then down them with a wind behind. I'm not sure if he'd need another bear away to actually fire up there. But he can't quite do that. But it's still advantageous to try and get behind the ship, surely, in case next turn he gets an opportunity. But at the same time, he doesn't want to lose the initiative, whereas Blanche could start to get the initiative. So it's a lot of tricky decisions, as you see. It's only a ship v ship battle, but there's plenty of options for them to do. He's going to be very cautious here. He's going to play a chain shot and just see what happens, and then decide from there what he wants to do next. Chain shot, French ship only needs to play one card. They don't need to drop the additional card to fire if they're playing chain shot. So let's see. So they're going to be targeting the rigging, which means they actually get a additional bonus on the firepower. So we've got a ship condition of 10, and the distance to targeted ship is 1, which gives them a 6 firepower. That's quite a lot. So you get 6 firepower, plus they get 1 firepower for targeting the rigging. So we've got 7 firepower here. And they're going to be rolling 2 die, which they get a +4 on as well. So that's a high number, isn't it? That's 11. That's a 15. 15 on the die roll. On the rigging, let's see, that's a 15 hit, and with a firepower of 7, which is really good for them. Which is 3 RS. 3 RS. So that means 3 hits to the Blanche rigging. And the S means they get 1 hit to the ship condition of the Blanche there. The Blanche does have a lot of special manoeuvre cards, so maybe they can do some repairs next time. So there's no rare event this time. So they've still got to move their 7 movement points. That card's been used up, which is quite successful. And for the movement points, they're going to let's see what they can do. So if they go 1, so they could just go up 2 and try and keep the initiative, which I think would make sense for them actually. Yeah, so if they're beaten, it's actually 2 movement points, isn't it? So they'd have to move up 3, which they're going to do. 1, 2, 3. But they could also, that's a dangerous position for them to stay in, isn't it? Do they want to give up their special manoeuvre just to turn in, which they'd need to do? They are going to do that to err on the side of caution. So they're dropping their special manoeuvre card and using it to actually turn sort of away from the wind there. Just on the side of caution. Well, really, did they need to do that? Because the Blanche could then attempt to attack around there. But, you know, they've done that. If the Blanche tries to do that, the Pique can always come and encircle them, couldn't they? So fine, that's done. They need to drop 1 card. They're going to drop the one of their duplicate cards. They're retaining 3 cards. Now it's time for the Blanche's turn. So ship condition is 7, and we're targeting a range of 1, which is 4 firepower. 4 firepower. It's got 4 firepower. They targeting the riggings, which means they get to roll 3 dice here. That's 11. So 11. So let's see. They get, so it goes up to 15 for the chain shot. So they've got a die roll of 15 and a firepower of 4. It's a simple RS hit. So it's an RS hit. So on the so we're going to mark, that's the first hit for the frigate on the ship condition, and on the rigging they've taken another hit. So just 1 hit there away on the rigging from being a mast loss there. That's fine. That action's been played out. They've done all their moves now. They can still do a special manoeuvre. So they could potentially repair a rigging condition maybe. But they're going to just hold on to that card and see if they need it next turn for a different option. So I'm now going to take the initiative markers off, mark the cleanup phase as done, and what I'm going to do is just stop this video now, and then I'll pick it up again a bit later, either on the next turn or as we get some more action.